From A Beautiful Mind to Master and Commander, LA Confidential to his Oscar-winning performance in Gladiator. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Russell Crowe.
There are three things you probably know about Russell Crowe. He was the Gladiator, he has a powerful voice, and he has a bit of a temper. But what you don't know is the story behind that temper. It's a story of a shocking BAFTA Awards assault that many believe cost him a second Oscar, a multi-million-dollar divorce auction that he called Cleansing by Fire, and a final drastic decision to abandon the Hollywood kingdom he had built. He gave up fame to escape the pain, but as you're about to discover, some wounds never truly heal. When the hero becomes the villain, the year 2000 was the year of Russell Crowe. Standing on the Oscar stage, accepting the award for Best Actor, he was the king of the world. Gladiator wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural phenomenon that grossed nearly $500 million and turned Crowe into the definitive movie star of his generation. He was Maximus, the powerful, honorable general, and the world couldn't get enough. He followed it up with A Beautiful Mind, another masterful performance that earned him a second Oscar nomination. From the outside, he was invincible, a titan walking among mere mortals. But not all things are what they seem. Behind the triumphant smile and the $20 million per picture price tag, a volcano was rumbling. The very intensity that made him a magnetic force on screen was proving to be a destructive one off-screen. The thing nobody tells you about that kind of fame is the pressure it puts on a person. For Crowe, the cracks started to show almost immediately. The public got its first major glimpse in 2002 at the British Academy Film Awards, or BAFTAs. Crowe had just won Best Actor for A Beautiful Mind. During his acceptance speech, he read a short poem by Patrick Kavanagh as a tribute to the power of art. However, due to the show running long, the BBC decided to cut the poem from the final broadcast. To the producers, it was a simple matter of timing. To Russell Crowe, it was a profound insult. What happened next became the stuff of Hollywood legend. Crowe hunted down the show's producer, Malcolm Jerry, at the after-party. He didn't just have a word with him. Reports from the Times say Crowe cornered the terrified producer in a storeroom, slammed him against a wall, and unleashed a torrent of abuse, jabbing his finger in his chest and promising he'd make sure he never worked in Hollywood again. The incident was so toxic that many insiders believe it was the single reason he lost the Oscar to Denzel Washington that year, denying him the rare honor of back-to-back wins. The rage was beginning to cost him, but that was just a warm-up. The most infamous explosion came in June of 2005. Crowe was in New York at the upscale Mercer Hotel, promoting his film Cinderella Man. He was trying to call his then-wife, Danielle Spencer, back home in Australia. When the hotel's phone system failed, frustration boiled over into something terrifying. He stormed down to the reception desk and, in a fit of rage, unhooked the phone and hurled it at the 28-year-old concierge, Nestor Estrada. The phone struck Estrada in the face, causing a laceration that required medical attention. Within hours, the world saw shocking images of Russell Crowe being led from the hotel in handcuffs. Police said he broke down and cried when he was arrested, later admitting he was at the bottom of a well. He was charged with assault and settled a civil lawsuit for a reported $100,000. The Gladiator was now a cautionary tale. His kingdom was starting to crumble, built on a foundation of anger. 800 acres of silence. How do you escape a life that's suffocating you? For some, it's a vacation. For a man like Russell Crowe, it required something far more drastic. He needed to escape the cameras, the critics, the whispers, and most of all, himself. So he planned and executed one of the most dramatic Hollywood exits in modern history. He didn't just move to a quieter suburb of Los Angeles. He retreated to an entirely different continent, to a place where the nearest paparazzi was hundreds of miles away. He went home to Australia, not to a flashy Sydney penthouse, but to the deep, rugged countryside of New South Wales. He found his sanctuary in a place called Nana Glen. You see, Crowe didn't just buy a house, he bought a kingdom. His sprawling property is estimated to be over 800 acres, a massive expanse of land that put a physical barrier between him and the world he was desperate to leave behind. To put that in perspective, that's over 600 football fields. This wasn't a hobby farm, it was a fortress of solitude. He already owned the property, but he made the decision to make it his permanent, full-time residence, leaving the glamour of Hollywood behind for good. He said he wanted his sons to know soil, to grow up away from the toxicity of fame. It was a place for him to heal, or at least to try. The change in lifestyle was immediate and absolute. The man who once wrestled tigers in the Colosseum was now waking up at 5 in the morning to feed over 100 head of Black Angus cattle. His days were no longer filled with script readings and press junkets, but with the hard physical labor of mending fences, maintaining barns, and working the land. Believe it or not, the A-list movie star found a sense of purpose in the quiet, demanding rhythm of farm life. Instead of after-parties, his evenings were spent playing guitar with his sons. He traded the roar of the crowd for the sound of the wind in the eucalyptus trees. Many people are crazy about the idea of a simple life, but few actually have the courage to chase it, especially when it means giving up hundreds of millions of dollars. But for Crowe, this wasn't just a lifestyle choice. It was an act of self-preservation. He was trying to silence the beast, the rage that had cost him so much, by starving it of the oxygen that Hollywood provides. Attention. He was building a new identity, not as a movie star, but as a father, a farmer, and a local. But running from your demons doesn't mean you've outrun your past. The $100 million goodbye. Leaving Hollywood and finding peace on the farm was one thing, but the consequences of his tumultuous years at the top were still coming due. The pain from his past wasn't just emotional, it had a very real and very high price tag. The quiet life he was building was about to be rocked by the financial and personal fallout from the life he'd left behind. You see, the pain had a delayed reaction, and the bill was finally coming. His 9-year marriage to Danielle Spencer, the woman he couldn't reach on that fateful night in New York, had come to an end. Their separation was announced in 2012, and the divorce was a quiet affair compared to his public outbursts. But behind the scenes, it was a financial earthquake. Thanks to a prenuptial agreement, Spencer was reportedly entitled to a minimum of $15 million. However, given the massive fortune Crowe had amassed during their marriage, sources close to the couple suggested the final settlement was much higher, landing somewhere around a staggering $25 million. It was a massive financial hit, a tangible cost for the years of turmoil. But Crowe's way of dealing with this chapter was anything but ordinary. In a move that shocked the world, he decided to mark the end of his marriage with a public spectacle. He partnered with the auction house Sotheby's Australia and curated a massive sale of his personal belongings. He called it, with a mix of humor and tragedy, The Art of Divorce. It was a surreal event. He sold off movie memorabilia, including the armor he wore in Gladiator and a fully functional Roman chariot. He sold diamond rings he had bought for his ex-wife. In total, he auctioned off over 200 personal items for a grand total of $3.7 million. He called the process cleansing by fire, a way to publicly purge himself of his past and move on. While he was finding his footing personally, his career was also feeling the aftershocks. The man who was once the most sought-after actor in Hollywood was no longer at the top of every casting list. The phone-throwing incident and the BAFTA brawl had damaged his reputation. He was seen as difficult, volatile, and risky. The $20 million paydays became less frequent. While he continued to work, the blockbuster leading roles that defined his career became fewer and further between. He was still Russell Crowe, but he was no longer the king. He had traded his crown for peace and quiet, and the Hollywood machine, which has no time for sentiment, simply moved on to the next star. He had found his quiet corner of the world, but was he truly content? Building a new Rome. Just when everyone thought Russell Crowe had settled into a quiet life of farming and obscurity, he began to build something new. He didn't stage a massive Hollywood comeback. Instead, he did something far more interesting. He brought Hollywood to him, but on his own terms. He used his power and influence not to reclaim his old throne, but to build a completely different kind of kingdom in his own backyard. The former king of Hollywood was becoming the undisputed king of Nana Glenn, and his legacy was about to become far richer than just a collection of movie roles. The first sign of this new chapter came in 2022 with his film Poker Face. Instead of flying to a massive studio in Los Angeles or London, Crowe decided to shoot the entire movie within a 50-mile radius of his farm. He employed local crews and used his own property as a set. It was a revolutionary move. He was proving that you didn't need to be in the heart of the machine to create. He converted one of his barns into a state-of-the-art recording studio where he recorded a blues album. He even launched his own whiskey brand. He was no longer just an actor for hire. He was a self-contained creative force, a local industry all on his own. But his reinvention went deeper than just business. The man once famous for his public displays of rage began to be known for his quiet acts of incredible generosity The things nobody tells you are often the most important. It came out that he had anonymously funded cancer treatments for the children of his film crews. After devastating floods hit his local community, he was one of the first to step up, helping neighbors and donating huge sums to relief efforts. He even offered to personally resettle refugees who were being held in Australia's controversial offshore detention centers, calling the facilities a national shame. His most ambitious projects, however, are focused on the future. He is converting his childhood home into a place called the Crow's Nest, a free film school for underprivileged teens in the area, giving them opportunities they would never otherwise have. Furthermore, he's a major backer of the Gumbaynggirr Language Project, an initiative to preserve and revitalize the language of the First Nations people of that land. He even requires players on his beloved rugby team, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, to perform local volunteer work. He is investing his time and his fortune not in himself, but in his community. We've seen the Gladiator rise, the angry star fall, and the quiet farmer find a new purpose. It's a neat little story, but maybe it's a little too neat. This is where we have to talk directly about the mystery. We have to wonder if this entire journey, this escape from fame, was really as straightforward as it seems. Does a man at the absolute peak of his power just decide to walk away overnight? Or was he pushed? Is the gentle, generous farmer of Nana Glen the real Russell Crowe? Or is this just his most convincing role yet? One minute, a guy's on top of the world, commanding massive paychecks, and the next, he's gone. The thing is, his retreat didn't happen in a vacuum. It came after the public brawls, after the arrests, and after his reputation took a serious hit. So did he truly give up fame? Or did fame start to give up on him first? It's a classic chicken or the egg question. Did he run from Hollywood before it had the chance to completely turn its back on him? Was the escape to the farm a brilliant, proactive move to control his own narrative before he became a Hollywood has-been? He traded a world of fame for a life of peace, but was the price too high? Let us know in the comments what you think really happened to Russell Crowe. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories.